Jazzcast Pros.
Transitions are inevitable. Life changes, businesses evolve, kids grow, and sometimes it feels like everything happens all at once. And when it does, your sleep is often the first thing to suffer. But here is the good news. Sleepless nights do not have to define your new chapter. In this episode of the Doze Podcast, I'm opening up about my own season of change, moving the Doze into a new warehouse space, shifting the way we serve our community, and balancing the demands of home life while sharing how to stay adaptable, reset your rhythm, and protect your sleep even in the middle of chaos. You'll walk away knowing while transitions are hard, they're never permanent, and with the right tools, you can thrive through them. Hello, I'm your host, Soda Kuczkowski. I'm a sleep health educator and certified sleep coach, and for over 2 decades, I've been working to transform how you think about sleep. The Doze Podcast is where we do just that, breaking down cultural myths, offering real-life strategies, and exploring today's topic on navigating life's transitions and protecting your sleep. Because here's the truth. Change is one of the constants in life. Sometimes it's expected, sometimes it blindsides us, but either way, it shakes up your routines, your energy, and often your sleep. And right now, I am living this in real time. So I want to share my own personal story with you because I know many of you are listening and juggling your own seasons of transition. So the key is adaptability. When transitions come, we need to pause and take space and ask, what do I need right now to restore balance? Maybe it's adjusting your bedtime. Maybe it's creating a calming ritual to help your nervous system downshift. Maybe it's simply giving yourself permission to rest instead of powering through. What I need you to understand and hear is that sleep health is not about perfection. It's about course correction. Just like a pilot making small shifts mid-flight, you can redirect and reset your sleep. And when you embrace adaptability, you stop seeing challenges as permanent setbacks and start seeing them as the temporary waves you can ride out. So right now, I am in the thick of it, going through a huge transition myself. We are in the middle of a big move. After 10 years of running Start With Sleep as a resource center and retail boutique that was rebranded 2 years ago to the Doze, we're closing our physical front-facing storefront and spaces and transitioning into a warehouse space. Now, this is a huge shift for the business because it's not just about changing addresses, it's about evolving. Our customer base has grown, and we realize that the future of the Doze is not just in individual item sales, but in customized kits, solutions tailored to what people really need. We also are planning to relocate out of state in the next 6 months. With that growth has come the unglamorous part, boxes, packing tape, reorganizing, making decisions about what stays, what goes, and how to restructure. And all of that is happening alongside my everyday responsibilities, running my programs and presentations, coaching, creating content, and of course, being present for my 11-year-old daughter and all her activities and needs. And as an added layer this year, her school actually starts 2 hours earlier. So getting into bed, at an earlier time is a must for us to manage everything that we do in a day. So to be honest, I have been more physically and mentally exhausted than usual. My days have stretched longer, my working hours later, and my bedtimes have crept into territory I do not normally allow to keep up with it all. But here's what I want you to understand and know. Even as a sleep coach, I'm not immune to life's transitions throwing me off track. I talk about this often because when it comes down to it, it's about creating space for constant awareness. Maybe you know this feeling. You've likely had your own season of transition. Maybe you're moving, changing jobs, caring for a loved one, or just facing a new demand on your time. You've probably noticed what I've noticed, that your sleep starts to slip. Bedtimes get later, work hours run long, your body feels wired and tired all at once. But here's the thing. You don't need to panic when this happens. Sleep disruption and transition is not permanent. It's simply your body responding to new demands. What matters is how you respond back. The difference is I've learned how to catch myself before exhaustion takes over. I've learned to pause and say, what do I need right now to make sure this season does not rob me of my sleep? That self-awareness and adaptability is what keeps me steady. One thing that I do to help me adapt is to lean into rituals that remind me to slow down. And for me, That looks like reaching for a necklace. I have a few, but there are two that I most often reach for first. The first is a clear quartz necklace that I was gifted only recently at an event in North Carolina last year. It is my grounding stone. Sometimes I put it on when I need to steady myself in the middle of chaos. The stone symbolizes balance, clarity, healing, and amplification of energy and intentions. The second is one I received for my 40th birthday that carries a message of encouragement for stressful days. And it's inscribed with the word from the movie Eat, Pray, Love, Atravesiano, which means transformation or stepping into something new. And this is to remind me to embrace the unknown and to have faith in the process. When I clasp either of these necklaces around my neck, it's my way of telling myself, this too shall pass. Now, you might not be someone who wears jewelry or even a necklace, but you can create your own tokens, objects, rituals, or reminders that help you pause, breathe, and remember that your current exhaustion is not forever. These tokens can guide you back to perspective, and perspective is what allows you to reset instead of spiral. When life shifts, your first instinct may often be to grip tighter to what once was. You may hold on to routines that no longer fit, or you beat yourself up when you cannot maintain the same level of structure that you had before. But those routines may not fit this season. Adaptability means losing your grip just enough to create space for what you need right now. The reality is transitions require flexibility, and if you don't bend, you break. Sleep health is no different. Instead of panicking when your sleep does get disrupted, I want you to recognize that it's temporary. Stress change and new demands may shorten your nights or delay your bedtime, but that does not mean your sleep is permanently damaged. Adaptability means you recognize what is happening, you give yourself grace, and you adjust your course. But here's the part I want you to hold on to. Your sleep is not as fragile as it feels in the moment. It's resilient. In fact, your body has an incredible ability to recover when you give it the right conditions. Yes, transitions can throw you off, and yes, exhaustion can creep in, but that does not mean your sleep is broken or that you're destined for restless nights. I want you to think of it this way. You don't need to overhaul your entire routine overnight. What you need are small, intentional shifts that create space for rest to return. Almost like a pilot mid-flight, you're still heading to your destination. You just need to adjust your course to smooth out the turbulence. So how can you actually do that? Well, I've put together 5 practical steps that can help you reset and protect your sleep when this happens. First, I need you to name your transition. You need to acknowledge what is changing for you. Either say it out loud or journal it. I'm moving. I'm changing jobs. I'm caring for a child. I'm evolving my business. By naming it, you reduce the internal resistance. You stop expecting yourself to sleep as if nothing has changed. Second, anchor your one non-negotiable. Choose one consistent sleep habit that travels with you no matter what. During this move, my wind down has been my anchor. Even if my bedtime is later, I've made sure to use the right tools. So I've switched from my amber blue blockers to my red ones to maximize my melatonin production and sleep quality. And I've made sure to give myself at least 15 minutes of calm if I'm working right up until the time that it's time to turn in. This non-negotiable signals to my body that it's time to shift from doing to resting. And this is where breathing exercises can be most beneficial. I want you to protect your energy during the day. Transitions demand more energy. So you have to be mindful about breaks, whether it's stepping away from, like me, packing boxes, taking a walk, or, simply remembering to hydrate. The way you pace yourself during the day directly impacts how easily your body settles at night. Also, these days, I can't forget to take my B12 supplements. But again, what you will need will be based on if you have any other health-related needs. Next, I want you to adjust your expectations without abandoning sleep. Yes, my bedtime has been later, but instead of throwing everything out the window, I allow flexibility. 1 or 2 nights off schedule does not undo years of healthy habits. It's when we let short-term disruption become our new normal that problems set in. Also, remember, the quickest way to reset your sleep is consistency. If you've missed your bedtime, turning in too early the next day isn't going to fix it. Maintaining a pattern will. So go to bed at your regular desired time. You'll thank me and you'll feel much better for it. And last, I want you to consider using tokens of grounding, whether it's a necklace, a bracelet, or just a sticky note with a mantra. Create a tangible reminder that this moment will pass and you are capable of adapting. You know that life's transitions are unavoidable, but sleeplessness does not have to be. You have the power to adapt. By naming your transition, anchoring your habits, protecting your energy, adjusting expectations, and leaning into grounding rituals, you create space to adapt. And in that adaptability lies your resilience. And speaking of resilience, if you haven't heard, and if you're local to the Western New York area, you can catch me live in Rochester this upcoming weekend at the Align Entrepreneur Podathon. I'm going to be sharing more about how sleep is not just personal wellness, but a leadership strategy that fuels your success and your ability to show up for yourself and for others. And we're even going to be raffling off 2 tickets, so you can enter for a chance to win on any of our social media channels. But if you can't make it, do me a favor, share this episode and share about the event with someone who's going through their own transition. And make sure to bookmark the tips in the show notes as an anchor that you can return to whenever you need it. Remember, this is just a moment, not forever. Sleep is resilient, and so are you. Sleep well.